Okay, I wanted to look at a couple examples on how to do percent equations with application problems. So one thing that you have to remember again is that when we're talking about the percent, we're talking about a part. When we're talking about a whole piece, we're talking about, say, the total. So what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to figure out within your problem, one, what is the important information you have, and two, what is the part, what is the total that you have, and what is the missing variable. So here we need to remember that we are using the equation R times B equals A. And so if we pay very close attention, what this actually means is it means percent times your whole equals your part. Okay? So here, the first one I wanted to look at is this one. It says, during his presidency from 1945 to 1953, Harry S. Truman vetoed 250 congressional bills, and 12 of those vetoes were overridden. What percent of Truman's vetoes were overridden? So, when we're talking about the whole, which is your B term, we would be talking about his total, which is 250. When we are talking about the part, in terms of A, we would be talking about the number of vetoes that were overridden, which in this case was 12. However, when we're talking about your percent, which is your rate, well, we don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. So here, we again would have R times B equals A. So this is going to be R times 250 equals 12. So my rate is going to be 12 over 250, which is going to give you 0.048. And then here, we would then have to convert that into a percent. So R is going to be 0.048 times 100%, which is going to give you 4.8%. Remember, when we multiply by 100%, that means we have to move our decimal 2 places to give us that percentage point. And so here we're looking at 4.8%. Alright, now let's look at a slightly more complicated one. So here we have a student missed 6 problems on a math test and received a grade of 85%. If all of the problems were equal, how many problems were on the test? Okay, so first, what do we know? Well, we know that we have problems missed, which in this case was 6. And so then we also have percent missed, which would be 15%. Now, some would say, how are you getting that? Well, we then need to know problems correct, which is the unknown, because that gives us your percent correct, which was 85%. And then we have problems total. Again, we don't know, but when we're talking about a percent total, that's 100%. So what we have to look at is how exactly, or what part we're going to use. Well, the part that we're going to use is we have to obviously use the total, because that is what we're looking for. But then with that, we need to use the only other piece of information that gives us a whole. And here, the easiest way to set this problem up is not necessarily using the equation, but using an idea of a proportion. And that idea says that we are going to use problems is 2%. So when we do that, what do we know? Well, we know that if I missed 6 problems, that means I missed 15% of the test. Well, that has to be equivalent to all problems of the test and getting 100% of the test. So here, what we would simply do is we would be able to use the idea of your cross product. So here we have that x is going to be 6 times 100 divided by 15. So x is going to give me 40 questions. And this would be the answer that we were looking for. Okay, so it's still using the idea of a proportion, it's just we're doing it in a much different way. Okay. So those are just a couple examples on some different application problems that you may see that deal with equations or proportions as it relates to percentages. So again, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you read your questions very carefully as you work. And as always, if you yourself find that you have any questions about problems like these, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next time.